David Ducker coming back at you, and today I'm going to be talking about red shirts, cohorts, sidekicks, hirelings, jobbers, busters, trick ass work marks, the kind of people that you're going to bring along to carry your bags into the adventure, the kind of people who are building your campsite, starting the fire, who are hunting the food, who are cooking the food down, massaging your feet, cleaning your boots, all of these hangers on that you may or may not bring with you into the game world. Now, I love having some red shirts along for the exact same reason that Star Trek loved having some red shirts along, because you can heighten the drama, you can exposit on the skill, strength, and prowess of your opponent by getting these jobbers to do the job, to lay down, to take the damage, to take the hits, to be the subject and the victims of pain, punishment, and disfigurement. So I highly recommend having these along. And of course, in a larger campaign, in a sandbox, it can largely be up to the players and logic as to whether they're bringing anyone with them or not. Uh, some characters may. A knight could need a groom, a squire. He might want an armorer. He might want a valet. So a knight might have a large cohort that he is bringing with him, and that makes sense. A hunter on the road, traveling, going lean, trying to feed himself, the more people that are along with him, unless they're capable hunters, they're stealthy individuals, they're fast-moving individuals, they understand the dangers of the wild, they're just going to slow him down. So it might make sense for a hunter to be solo. So this is largely contingent upon one-shots, because in the regular campaign, the players will decide that for themselves. They'll decide that hopefully based upon logic in the world. I always recommend having players that have political power. So usually they do have hirelings and an entourage. And as a GM, that tool is there already. If you need to separate them from their entourage for metagame reasons, and I don't always encourage metagaming, but you can usually find a way to do that. And that could be the old trite pulp cliche. You're on a boat, the boat sinks, you're the only survivors. I've used that before for one-shots. I don't think I've used it for a campaign, but you could. If it's the right campaign, if that makes sense for your style and your genre, you can do that. But this is more focused on how to use them when they're there and why to inject them as a GM, especially in one-shots, because in one-shots you, the GM, have more control, more power. You're setting up the scenario ahead of time. You're injecting the players into it and all the other elements into it. So I've been using red shirts. I started out in Call of Cthulhu, but pretty much any game where you want to have this tension heightened, that you want to have a mystery, you want to show the danger of the wilderness, the environment, the dungeon, of your enemies. It can be great to have these people along. I believe we did one in the Arctic tundra, and we're bedded down in the tent at night against the freezing wind. The players are just waking up from sleep, and they think they see like one of their hirelings who was in the tent with them being dragged out of the tent by his feet. They just see his chest and head disappear out of the tent because the tent door's been unzipped slightly, and he just dragged out, and he's gone. And then they wake up, and go and they look out and they see, something shuffling out across the tundra, dragging this poor man behind it. He might already be dead. He might not be dead. Or he might just be vanished. Now, if you didn't have these hirelings, creating this drama, this tension, there's something out there. There are only a few tools you can use. They can hear it. They can see it in the distance. They could smell it. They could find footprints. There's a lot you can do. But if you want to really amp up the danger, display the prowess of the enemy, it's good to have some people there to do the job, to lay down, to be taken out, so you can exposit on the terror and the danger that the real player characters are facing. So that's the Arctic tundra. Um, you can have that. I'm just trying to think of other examples that I have used in the past. The classic one that I love to come back to is you wake up in the morning and no one's on watch. The guy who was supposed to be on watch is missing. He's gone. You have no idea what happened to him. There might be a trail to follow. There might not be a trail to follow. You could once we followed the trail out in the middle of a field and it just ended. The trail just stopped, as if something had plucked him up into the sky. And indeed, that's what happened. But they didn't know that yet. So we had the mystery. What happened? What are we up against? Something dangerous, surely. But they don't know. You can heighten the tension up. And it's harder to do that without that red shirt there. So I like to usually throw in, depending on the length of the one shot, if it's a mini campaign, you can of course do more. But I'll usually throw in about four of these red shirts. Anytime I think of something, wouldn't it be cool if a javelin just comes hurling out of the bushes? You're on the riverboat, winding down the Amazon. A javelin just shoots out of the tree canopy above you and just impales the red shirt in the gut. He goes over. Maybe he falls in the river. Maybe he's still on the boat. But you're like, who threw that? And you don't see any. Maybe you see something swinging through the trees away from you, but it looks like a giant, monstrous ape. Surely an ape could not have thrown this javelin. And then you have the clue, the javelin. You're looking at the javelin, and you're saying, oh, it's made of like beaten copper or obsidian stone or whatever it's made of, the decorations on it. So you've shown your enemy's dangerous. You've introduced a clue, several clues, and you haven't killed a player character with that. You haven't made the enemy look impotent. Like if the javelin came out and it hit a player, but it didn't kill him, the enemy would look impotent now. They'd look less dangerous. You don't want that. You want them to look more dangerous. So you need to have something they can direct their danger against that's not the player characters. So that red shirt, that's why he's there. And I just move through. And anytime I can think of something to show the dangerous environment, the danger of the enemy, I'll just kill off another red shirt. And also you can do a gimmick where that gives you, and in a regular campaign, I would pretty much never use this, but it gives you the chance to have a voice into the party. This is metagaming to a high degree, but the red shirt might spot that clue that no one else spotted. Just in case everyone fails their roles, you have the red shirt there, and he'll spot a clue. Or just in case everybody else is Billy Badass, and they're like, oh, I'm not afraid of anything. Oh, I see people get snatched up into the sky all the time. Whatever, that's not a big deal. And it's like you're trying to run this horror game, tension, danger, excitement, and this guy's just like, oh, I'm not worried. I'm a PC. I got fate points. I'll be fine. If you have that guy, he's gonna kill the drama for everyone else. But a way to mitigate that is have the red shirt. The red shirt is starting to freak out. He's looking around. He's getting paranoid. He's shaking. He wants to turn back. He's the guy saying, we need to get out of here. We need to run. It snatched him into the sky. And that guy can heighten the tension, especially if the player characters are not. If they're killing the tension, have this guy in there as a contrast. As the normal person, how would they react? Not like this PC who's Billy Badass who, wants to make himself look good at the expense of the whole adventure. You look good by being in a good adventure, but he wants to put himself above the adventure as if he's not even part of it. He's too good. But that's a different problem. And this allows, you can have the red shirt turn on the players as long as it makes sense. You could have the red shirt set off traps, hopefully to kill himself. You could have the red shirt go insane and run off into the mist. And then do you go after him to try to save him? Do you leave him? Do you hear him cry out in the night? Is his arm thrown back out of the mist? And now you've rescued his arm? There's so much you can do with more moving parts. So, especially in horror one-shots, I highly advocate the red shirts. Anything that you want to put over the lethality, the tension, that you want to show the dangers in the environment. When it's a high lethal system, especially, get some red shirts in there. And you can make them unique, different. It's role-playing opportunity as well. But it's drama in a plot point sense. So that's what I'm putting over. As I said, in a regular campaign, you can do this to some degree, as long as it makes sense. You don't, in a regular campaign, want to metagame to that high degree because it destroys the believability of the world. If you destroy the believability of a one-shot, it's not so bad. But if you wanted to get more out of a long campaign and you destroy the believability in session 2, it's like, well, you sacrificed the future for no reason, probably. But that's a topic for a different video. I just wanted to extol the virtues of having some jobbers to make the bad guy look badass, so when you confront him, you know what you're dealing with, you know to be afraid of what you're dealing with. And also, as I said, it can be the voice of the GM, a tool of exposition in the party. That's certainly secondary in my mind because you can destroy the believability. But it's there if you need it. If you're driven to desperation by Billy Badass, you can use the red shirt to drive the plot. If you have weak players. So that's pretty much all I have to say about red shirts, jobbers, hirelings, conscripts, whoever they are. So let me know in the comments below, what have I missed? What am I not doing with them? What's more potential? What are some drawbacks? An obvious drawback is it could make your party too powerful for the challenge you have prepared. Again, that's metagaming. Usually I'd say, like in a long-term campaign, if the challenge is not powerful enough for them to worry about, just don't worry about it. Narrate through it, or just never show it on screen. If it just happens off screen, that's fine. You need to show on screen things that are worthy of the attention of the players involved. So the king probably doesn't care about hunting a rabbit for dinner. He has hirelings for that. The hunter really cares about getting that rabbit because he'll starve to death without it. And the king's rabbit hunt, his hirelings hunting the rabbit, that won't be an adventure for him. It won't even be on screen for him. And then you can get in, some stuff that's questionable. Should it be on screen? Should it not be on screen? And experience will tell you and help you figure that out, feel that out, and determine the pacing of the campaign. And I've done videos on pacing as well, of course. So let me know again. Comments. What do you think? Am I right? Am I wrong? Should we always have hirelings? Should they be banned from the game? And until I see you again, good day and good gaming.